Good day, great day, and grand day to you all. Welcome back to another segment of Dr. TSA Series, a spiritual discussion. My name is Dr. Terry Audate, and this is part 2 of our discussion about reincarnation and this immortal journey of our spirit. I promised that I would share with you my own experience of understanding my journey and going through the discovery of one of the reasons why I struggled growing up in actually trusting my mom. So this is my experience and my experience only. And again, I'm just sharing, and this is not for you to believe what it is I say, not believe what it is I say. I'm sharing with you my truth, my journey. And so last week we spoke about reincarnation and some of the understandings of reincarnation and why we experience that. I had a growing up, this is a personal story here. Growing up, I never understood why I had such a distrust, if you will, for my mom. I love my mom dearly. She passed away a few years back. But growing up as a young girl, I had very little trust in my mom, and I couldn't understand why. I always had this deep-seated feeling within me that I couldn't trust my mother. I didn't trust my mother. And, looking back now, I remember thinking, why do I have this feeling about my mom? My mom is there to protect me. Here, this is what I'm telling myself. My mom is there to protect me. She birthed me. Why would she hurt me? Why would she do anything to me? Why don't I have trust for her? Why do I distrust her so much? I didn't understand that growing up. And so growing up, I had such difficulties with my mom and not trusting her, not being able to converse with her and open up my heart and really have this bond that we should have, with our parents. Alongside with that, I questioned everything about life, and I didn't just accept what was told to me. I questioned everything. And there came a point in my life where I debunked everything that I was taught within institutions, because I quickly learned that history is written by the conquerors and not those that who lived the life. And so I questioned a lot of things growing up in my life, and I vowed to move away from those doctrines or those schools of thought that prevented one from questioning and researching and finding out more of what history had to offer. Having said that, during that process, in wanting to understand me, understanding and learning that I am a spiritual being, having this human experience, I wanted to delve deeper in understanding why I was having the experiences that I had. And so I came across regression therapy and met a professor, a doctor in esoteric studies, who was able to take me through the process of engaging in a regression therapy and helping me to answer questions that I could not at the time find answers to. And so here is what I discovered about my journey, about why I had such difficulties with my mom. So, and when I share my experience, I want to say and put a plug in there and say that when you go through these experiences, you can verify your experiences, especially like deaths or when you're born or what country and things like that, because those things are recorded. So when you engage in or you go through a regression therapy and you may find your name or the place of birth, you can go back to that country and that current life and go look for that person that was born on this or that day. Anyway, nonetheless, I kind of went off track for a little bit. So what I discovered was that in a previous life that I had engaged, I was a male and I was living in England. And growing up as a male in England, I lived in a small little hut, if you will. And I saw myself through this process of regression therapy, I saw myself. I was a male. I was 12 years old. I was living with my mother at the time, a mother at the time, and a father. As I was guided to see what was really happening through that process, I saw that I saw my spirit inside a male body. What was revealed to me was my mother in that last life was the mother that I came or that I was birthed into in this life. And what happened in that last life was that my mother had passed away when I was 12 in that previous life. And that event in my previous life was so traumatic, so much that I grieved my mother until I died essentially in that life. But I had grieved her so much that I really didn't live a full life, if you will, because I had gone through the grieving process of losing my mom in that last life. And it was just so painful. So much that when I passed on in that last life, the spirit left the body in that last life, went into the spirit realm and stayed in the spirit realm. The interesting part of this is that when my spirit was in the spiritual realm, I'm still able to see what's happening on the planet. And I just so happened to see that when I passed on in that last life, where my mom had passed when I was 12 in that life, and I had lived and grown or aged to the point where I might have reached, I think, the late 60s or the late 60s, early 70s in that last life. And that's when I transitioned, follow me here. And then I was in the spiritual realm. When my spirit was in the spiritual realm, I saw that my mother had returned back to the planet. She had returned back to the planet. My spirit is on the other side. I'm seeing that she returned back to the planet and she's pregnant. Now, there's this whole controversy as to when a fetus is a fetus and when a fetus is not, and when is it viable for a fetus to be terminated and things like that. Think about this when I share this next part. So I see my mother came back to the planet and I see her pregnant. Now she is just about 4 weeks pregnant, if you will, as I see it from the other side, from the spiritual realm. And what happened was my spirit on the other side made the decision to come back into the planet and come back through my mother, because I'd missed her so much. I yearned for her so much. The fetus that was within my mother was 4 weeks old. I reserved that fetus to enter into the fetus when it was time. So said, so done. I entered into the fetus when it was time, and 6 months later, I was reborn on this planet through my mother. This is all what was revealed to me through my spirit in a regression therapy. Growing up, I'm gonna step back a little bit. Growing up in this life, I shared with you that I had such distrust for my mom. Nonetheless, we had our relationship, and my mom told me a story that when she, not a story, but she told me an event that occurred to her when she was growing up. And my mom shared with me that when she was 12, her mother passed away. And I used to feel so much. I used to remember wondering wow, Mom, that must have been an experience for you. That must have been a really hard experience for you. And so my mom oftentimes spoke about the fact that she grew up without a mother and things like that. Bear with me, I'll put everything in perspective. And so my mom would share with me, some of the struggles and the difficulties that she had not having a mother growing up. I'm gonna wrap this up or speed it up, if you will. So growing up, I shared with you I didn't trust her and all that stuff. And my mom had experiences that she had endured. And our relationship wasn't the best daughter-mother relationship. Nonetheless, my mom had experienced some strokes in this lifetime that I had with her. And she had she had several strokes. And the last one actually left her bedbound. It left her bedbound for nearly 10 years. And having to go through that and ensure her well-being, make sure that she was well cared for and really just well cared for, loving on her, being by her side. It was very difficult for me very early on because I had my own family, and it was very challenging. And I used to ask myself, why am I going through this? Not just me, but I used to say to myself, my mom lived such a robust life. My mom was a go-getter. My mom was successful. My mom did so many different things in life. She was full of life and vibrant, and she had a lot going on for herself. And to have had and experienced those strokes that she had, excuse me, and for the last one to leave her bedbound, I always questioned, why is this happening? For her to have been bedbound for nearly 10 years, I would question all the time, why is this happening to my mom? This is not the life that she would want to have lived. And so when I became or embarked on my journey of self-discovery and understanding and really seeking a deep understanding in life, I engaged in regression therapy to understand why I was having so much issues with my mom. And so shortly, a few months before my mom actually transitioned, I had gone, I did my meditation and reflection, and this was one of the questions that I posed in my meditation, and I asked my higher self, I asked for more understanding of why my mom was going through what she was going through. And what my spirit told me was that your mom, my mom, is still here and is going through this experience because she's waiting for you to let her go. I said, what? I didn't say it then or during my reflection or meditation, but when I came out of it, I was floored. I wanted to be with my mother so badly that I rushed back into her womb while she was pregnant, just to be born through her, to be with her again, because I had felt in the last life that she was taken from me. And I wanted so badly, so deeply to be with her again that I rushed back into planet to being born through her. My mother subconsciously, not consciously, subconsciously knew that in her spirit and vowed that she would not leave me again until I was okay. I cried. I cried so deeply. And I felt a level of love. I felt a level of love so deep, I can't explain it. When it came to my awareness that my mom was holding on for me, waiting for me to be okay with her transitioning, I had to let my mom know. So when I came out of the meditation, I went and spoke to my mom. And at this point, she wasn't conversing much. She wasn't really speaking. Again, she was bedbound and had been for 10 years. But I spoke to her knowing that her spirit was listening to me. And I said to Mom, "Mom, I'm okay. Thank you so much for what you did for me. Thank you so much for waiting until I was okay. Thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for all the love that you've shared. Thank you for being there with me." Subconsciously, spiritually, my mom knew that I had struggled in the previous life, hence not trusting her, because growing up, I thought that she would leave me. My mom did not want to leave me again without knowing for sure that I was okay. And so I had a series of conversations with my mom after having that awareness, after having that revealed to me through my spirit. And I let my mom know that I'm okay, and that I appreciated her, that I love her. I shared my life with her. Again, I'm doing this knowing that her spirit is listening. And I poured out my heart. I asked for forgiveness. I forgave her. I did all of that work because I knew I needed to. And so after I had gone through a series of conversations and going through the process of letting my mom go, 3 months later, after that awareness and understanding why she was still here with us, 3 months after, she had decided to transition. Whew. That is my experience. That is one of the understandings that I was able to be reminded of through the process of regression therapy, and understanding that, I am a spiritual being having this human experience. And if you remember in this conversation, I shared with you that my mom's mom in this life that she was in my life in, when she was growing up, her mother had passed away. And I share all of this to share with you and help you understand part of what learning lessons is about, to help you understand that there is a part of life, we there's karma, but sometimes the idea of karma has this connotation that if, when you do bad things will happen. But it's so much more. There's such a much more deeper understanding. It's not about too much of a right or wrong. It's about learning lessons, being more and more and more and more enlightened, understanding why things happen and what are the lessons that we have to learn in order to become more enlightened. So just because her mother, when she was 12, passed on, doesn't mean that it was bad that she had passed on when I was 12 in that previous life. It's just that she needed to understand what that felt like and learn the lessons that she needed to learn. Hence, I learned and healed from the lessons that I needed to learn of the distrust that I had in the past life and the distrust that I brought back to this life. Learning that, understanding why I had that distrust and being desperate enough to understand or seek understanding as to why I didn't trust her. So that's a little bit about me and my experiences and my journey. A little bit of a window of understanding the reason why we're reborn in life. Nature clearly depicts and shows us that this life is not linear. Nature shows us that there are cycles in life, and the cycles entail understanding, lessons, evolution, overstanding, and understanding. And so thank you for allowing me to share a little bit about me and my experiences of one of the lifetimes that I endured and the lessons that I learned. And I hope and trust and know that this may help someone out there understand the meaning or the purpose of life. And one of the biggest lessons of life is understanding what your lesson is and learning it. And so with that, I want to say thank you all for watching. Thank you all for spending this time with me. Thank you for letting me share about me. Thank you all so much for watching yet again another segment of Dr. TSA Series. Remember that you're loved. I love you all. Mwah! Namaste. Bye. And there you have it on another segment of Dr. TSA Series, a spiritual discussion. Thank you once again all for watching. Remember to click that thumbs up and subscribe. Also, remember you're loved. Namaste.